Line up, you f***ing nerds. Who wants a shot at the champ?
They bring the heat.
Francis Ngannou is the hardest puncher in the history of fighting.
They bring the knowledge.
If you think this fight is going 5 rounds, you are out of your mind.
They bring you the picks.
The dog is getting it done in this one.
We deliver every single week. We're bringing the heat, ladies and gentlemen.
The money line.
Don't miss it on the MMA Experts channel each week. What is up, everybody? The money line is live. We're heading into UFC Nashville. I got the great white Mike Finch in the house. What's up, bro?
He's not talking about Caucasian. I just look a little washed out today. I don't know what's going on. No, we're happy and healthy, buddy. How are you?
Good, man. I feel good. I'm very happy about how the weekend went. Not only for the action we saw, but also for a couple W's on the betting side. But at the end of the day, did see an absolute sick main event. I'll get into that. I think we'll start the show. Mike, you think we do a little recap? We'll talk about the key fights from last weekend?
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. I mean, right off the bat, we got to congratulate AJ for the Derek Lewis knockout.
Hey.
It was a big deal, buddy. It was beautiful. Derek Lewis came out there with the 4-pack, and I was telling AJ before we went live, I didn't realize it's the last fight in his contract. Derek Lewis came out there like it was life or death. Flying knee, I mean, that's the type of shit you want to see out of Black Beast. Yeah. Who knew he had it in him?
Who knew he had it in him, bro? I think that type of knockout, no one could have predicted. I'm not going to say I fucking knew he was going to jump out with a flying knee. But what I did think is him coming in with abs showed me this is a Derek Lewis that's serious and wants to get back on track. What I find is interesting, though, bro, is the fact that his contract being up puts him in a position with a win over Francis Ngannou. If I'm PFL, I'm sitting down and I'm thinking, okay, who do we have? We have Ryan Bader, because now Bellator and PFL are officially, going together. I don't know, merging, or is it just PFL is, dissolving Bellator and taking their fighters? I don't know exactly. But I know Ryan Bader would be a guy against a Francis Ngannou that would make sense as far as top-tier talent outside of the UFC. But I'm thinking about actual fan interest. I think there's more on Derek Lewis. If Lewis can somehow secure Ngannou, over $1 million guaranteed. Can you imagine that? That would be great.
And it would be a beautiful story for Mr. Lewis to be able to, book a big fight like that. So, yeah, that would be insane. It'd make a lot of sense on the PFL's part. I mean, let's face it, they really need fights for Francis. If they want to sell pay-per-views, like Francis Ngannou, Tyson Fury, as crazy as it is, 2 big names, it's going to work. Francis Ngannou versus some of these PFL heavyweights, maybe not. So yeah, Ryan Bader's a name. Obviously, Derek Lewis with the win over him is a name. So that makes a lot of sense. AJ, as usual, you do well in the matchmaker role.
I think that should be my role. As a kid, I used to always say I want to be the UFC matchmaker. I feel like I need to get more consistent on that type of series, bro. But I think Derek Lewis getting that win, as a fan of him for a long time, it was like, in a sense, it was awesome, it was exciting, and it was relieving. We're like, all right, we are back on track, and we still got some Derek Lewis fights left. And for me, what I want for Derek Lewis, which it sucks that he'll have to leave the UFC, but I want him to get the big money. Give him let's go to fucking PFL. Let's fight Ngannou, because at the end of the day, having a win over him and coming off of a highlight reel win, sure, we can say, oh, we lost, 3 fights here or there. Okay, but anybody outside of the UFC has probably lost to, competition that maybe isn't even as high. Whereas, looking at Lewis's last few, it's all the best heavyweights the UFC has to offer, essentially, maybe outside of Tai Tuivasa. But I'm in on that, man. That's what I'd like to see.
Absolutely. It'll be hard to, play highlights from the first Ngannou Derek Lewis fight. I mean, there's not a lot of that, know. Hopefully we don't have a repeat, but absolutely, you're right. They should be trying to sell that. And Yes Freak says Scottsdale, Arizona is watching you. Well, I'm watching Scottsdale, Arizona. I got family out there. I'll come see you sometime, folks.
I got to shout out my guy, Robert Saladino, dropping a dono in chat. Thank you for the $2, bro. You got me. I'm ranting right now about this Derek Lewis thing because it gets me excited. But I do want to keep moving on up the card. Saladino, you're a gem. Let's keep running. I think we'll talk about T Ferg for a second. I guess it's a step backwards, but I want to bring up with Tony Ferguson's fight. And I definitely want to hear your take, Mike. Probably should retire from the sport to, not continue to take significant damage, but won't, because he still shows that he has the heart and he can beat some guys. Like, he dropped Bobby Green and then he got eye poked. So I feel like Tony Ferguson is in a spot where he still has the belief in himself. And if you go back to the performance up until the eye poke, it is a pretty damn competitive fight. So I have to give some credit to Tony Ferguson, given a hard-fought performance, but getting put out like that was not a good visual with the arm triangle and getting submitted by Bobby Green, who's not known for his submission game.
Right. Tony Ferguson shocked a lot of people. Let's be honest. A lot of people thought this was just a funeral and that, Tony Ferguson wouldn't land a punch. And that's definitely not what happened. So Tony did show up. I actually got a text message, I believe it was after the first round, that was like, I told you, see, like from one of my friends. So, people were hyped up on the way Tony Ferguson was performing. Does he have more in the tank? Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of miles on that car, and being an old lightweight has not fared well for pretty much anybody yet. But you got to respect that he's still got something in the tank. He was able to strike Michael Chandler. He's able to, compete with Bobby Green. These have been fun fights. And I needed Bobby Green for my parlay. So pretty much all I needed was the dub from Bobby. Okay.
Yeah.
We went for the three-peat with the parlay. Let me give myself a pat on the back now. AJ, the parlay section's been where it's at for me.
You're the parlay king, Mike.
I've kind of been feeling the parlays. So, thank goodness Bobby Green pulled that one through, because that would have ended it for me. No, but I thought it'd be much more one-sided. I was impressed by Tony. He's still there. You heard DC saying Tony sounds more focused this week. He's making more sense to me this week. It showed when he fought.
Yeah. I think that he performed extremely well for being a guy that's 39, taking significant losses. I just don't think he has the same reflexes that he once did. And I do think that you notice it with some of these quicker guys. So my question is this: a fight with Clay Guida, is that not competitive? Is that not maybe the fight to make next? Tony Ferguson, Clay Guida, two OGs. I feel like you have to go that direction. I mean, Jim Miller is an argument, but Jim's been laying people out. Jim Miller's not an easy guy to walk over, but that's another fight that maybe Tony Ferguson could have as like a send-off. Jim Miller, Clay Guida, those types of guys. You know what? Imagine like Joe Lozon came back for that type of fight. We did something crazy like that. There's still fun fights to make for Tony. I think the UFC loves T Ferg. He's had a great run and a lot of fan intrigue. So I don't think they're going to use him to slaughter against like some debuting guy or something like that. I think they give him one shot.
I like that. No, that Clay Guida fight made perfect sense. Book it, because that's the type of fight you want to see Tony. I don't want to see him with any more power punchers who are hard to take down. Like, give me a Clay Guida fight. Perfect
fight. And I actually think he could drop Clay Guida and potentially submit him, because Clay doesn't have a significant amount of punching power. Where he shines is with some pressure, with wrestling, with a lot of strikes coming at you and just being tricky to deal with. T Ferg's still nasty with his ground skills, regardless of him getting subbed in this fight here. I still think on the floor he has good jiu-jitsu, and I think he's a strong guy. I want Clay Guida in him, man. Let's ride with that one.
If he wants to still compete. I see some of you guys mad in the chat. Look, I'm not telling Tony Ferguson to keep going. I'm not like, Tony, you're going to get to the title. That's not what I said at all. I said at 39, old lightweights don't have a good track record. So he'd be the first ever, right? Who's been an old lightweight champion? Like, you don't really get there. Doesn't happen. So yeah, it does not happen at this weight class. And trust me, I've been around since the beginning of the weight class. I remember the Gents Pulver, BJ Penn, Sean Shirk, Diego Sanchez, Ken Flo Florian. I remember those title fights. No, old men don't do well at lightweight. And yeah, in my humble opinion, it'd be nice to see Tony move on. But Tony seems like the type of guy where the only person's opinion who really matters is going to be Tony's.
Yeah. Listen, I'm putting myself in the mind of Tony Ferguson. He's not retiring. Let me bring up some donos in chat. My guy, Tiratu Paku. Hey, Jay and Finch. I'm playing the Sandhagen Suarez. Should I play it now or wait until later this week? How do you think the line will move? I feel like, to be honest, I'm leaning towards a swell on Sandhagen a bit. And then I could see Suarez leveling out around minus 350, minus 450. Really depends. I think that people like Andrade as a dog notoriously, right? But you look at the last two performances, anybody studying into it knows that she seems to have lost a step. So I would lean towards that it is a good play. I'm going to thumbs it up personally.
Minus 435 is what I'm getting for Tatiana Suarez. Pretty serious favorite.
Yeah,
over
big favorite
Jéssica Andrade, which is interesting. I'd figure like 2-1 or 3-1, but 4-1. Okay,
Yeah.
got you. Hey, I mean, we probably shouldn't give our full, like, they gotta watch this show to get our full breakdown.
I guess the dono gets the answer there.
I promise we will answer this question 100%. Thank you for the $5.
Let's go. Let's get to this next one. Ali Point V TV, my brother. I noticed Dustin was a tad bit slower than Gaethje pulled out, and 2 minutes later he got KO'd. Support the AJ Mike Finch with the $2. Thank you for that, brother. Listen, he got caught with the perfect shot. I think still the fight was looking fairly similar to their first fight with Gaethje ripping him up with leg kicks, some punches by Poirier. I will say, though, towards the later stages of the first round, you notice Justin Gaethje was kind of finding his timing a bit with punches and started to touch Poirier. So I did feel like after that point, I'm like, yo, we got a fight here. And then beautiful high kick, and the fight is damn done. We'll talk about that fight in just a second, man.
Yeah. Well, we can go into it right now if you want to. I mean, Dustin Poirier said himself he didn't see the head kick at all, and then Justin Gaethje was like, "Hey, I just put it up there again." So it wasn't like Justin Gaethje for 5 minutes was trying to set the damn thing up. It was just another weapon that he had ready. You saw he made Dustin move his head off the center line. Boom, put the kick up there high. So was it a speed difference? I don't know. I thought Dustin got to him. Dustin hurt him. Yeah, I think they both admitted that. Yeah. Justin admitted to being tagged. Dustin talked about getting to him. So no, I didn't feel like Dustin was too slow or something like that.
It was a fight, man. It was a dog fight, and just the perfect technique by Gaethje got a sick knockout, man.
Yeah.
And I'll say this: BMF belt is in an interesting spot because money-wise, Conor McGregor makes the most sense.
Justin don't want it. Justin don't want it.
He don't believe it. Don't believe it, Mike.
I believe it. AJ, let me tell you why I believe it. Okay, first of all,
tell me
I met Justin Gaethje 6 months ago at Bellator here in California. I'm actually pointing in the direction I met him. It was south. It was in Temecula. And when I talked to Justin Gaethje, I brought up, do you want the money fight? Do you want Conor? He didn't want it. He, on camera and off camera, could not give a shit. He hates Conor McGregor. He does not like that shit. I guarantee you Justin Gaethje's like me. I never watched these bullshit shows. Who are the Kardashians? I wouldn't even recognize them if I saw them at Walmart. I have no idea what they look like. Justin doesn't like to support the stars, how could you say, the fads, he really respects OG fighters like Dustin Poirier, people who put their nose down, work hard, grindstone, blue collar working type fighters. He doesn't want this, pay-per-view cash cow who gets all this credit. So honestly, he doesn't. And that's talking to him in person. And one more thing, listen to the press conference. They asked, okay, Conor McGregor tweeted this, if you want the fight, say it. Justin showed no interest. If he actually wanted that fight, he's had multiple chances now to make it happen. He legitimately has no interest in it.
Listen, okay, this is a fucking purse that he's not going to be able to pass up. Like, come on. Justin Gaethje's going to say no to X amount of millions when it's like, okay, you can fight Makhachev for a third of this at best. Get out. No way. I'm telling you, he's saying that to you. And I think he believes it until the dollar signs are in his face. Money talks, bro. That's a prize fight. Like, it's prize fight. He's going to take it. He doesn't want it. And I get that he don't even want to give Conor any shine because it's like, why does my big success have to bring Conor into it? So I think that's how he's playing the game. I'll tell you this. I think Conor McGregor could get under Justin Gaethje's skin which will be interesting. Them going back and forth, talking shit. I think gamesmanship by Conor McGregor could fuck with Gaethje's head a bit more than maybe it fucked with the likes of Dustin Poirier. As of recent, guys like Khabib, I think Gaethje could be affected a little. Now, I'm not saying Conor McGregor is going to come back and just easily beat a Gaethje, but what would give him a chance is if he gets Gaethje angry and Gaethje comes out a little reckless. Conor McGregor still's got a nasty left. And you look, that's the punch that Poirier wobbled him with a bit. So if Conor found the perfect one, I'm not saying it's impossible. I know Gaethje's going to be the favorite when it opens, but I think that Conor McGregor with a bit of power in that left hand is always like live as a dog. I'll say this. If it gets past the first 3 minutes, I favor Gaethje to win. If it gets out of the first round, it's definitely Gaethje. If it's a one punch, I could see Conor tagging him.
I mean, we're talking 170. We're talking about big Conor, I assume.
Right.
I assume we're talking about the same thing. Because that makes it more interesting. But who was I just listening to? Who was just saying it? Was it you? I was just listening to your breakdown, and you tell me if you said this, that if a fighter in his 30s takes 2 years off, it's a problem. Did you not say that? Okay, what about Conor? Like that's exactly what's going on, right?
Yeah. I'm not saying he should be the favorite to win.
It's a problem, and so I feel like with Gaethje, that's a high level fight. You know me, bro. I like how boxing allows tune-up fights. I think Conor needs one. Conor needs to be the guy to fight Clay Guida. You know what I'm saying? Conor needs a Clay Guida Tony Ferguson fight. That's what he needs first, folks, to get him back on track. Yeah.
So you think right now he's gonna look slow in there against the Gaethje? Maybe timing's off a bit, potentially getting ripped to the legs. Yeah.
Conor's got a game built on timing. Absolutely.
Yeah. And he was active when he was doing it. And now out of the gym. I will say this early prediction for the fight. I mean, come on, it's got to be Gaethje to beat him. Like, it's all about if Conor has that puncher's chance early on. I think as we get into the later stages, if Gaethje's defensively sound, I see the legs of Conor falling apart. I see Gaethje ripping him in close. I think Gaethje probably fucking slams him. I think Gaethje wants to pick Conor up and just throw him down, start beating him up a little bit.
So he doesn't like him. It might make for a good fight because he really doesn't. He doesn't like him.
He doesn't like him, bro. Like when I listened to the post fight, and I heard exactly what you said. But then I actually was talking to my dad. I said, yeah, man, he doesn't want to fight Conor. He actually the one said to me, come on, the money that he's gonna make, he's gonna turn it down. No way. And I'm with it, man. I think that Gaethje is gonna be sold on a fight with Conor McGregor when he sees the revenue, because it's like you fight your whole life for a chance to get paid substantially and make it to the top. That's a top fight, big pay fight, and let's say, which he probably should, beat Conor McGregor. Now the Makhachev fight is even more compelling. This guy just coming off a big win, more maybe casuals are jumping on the Justin Gaethje train. I don't know.
Right. No, it makes sense. It would bring him up to that point. It would be a big pay-per-view, so all the eyes would be on him. I understand what you're saying. If I didn't know who Gaethje's manager was, I would be asking, why wouldn't Gaethje's manager be telling him, hey, say McGregor on the mic after you win this fight. Hey, press conference is up right now. They're going to ask you about this tweet. Why don't you respond back with something fire? None of that happened. So just letting you know that it might take them to go off for the fight. I certainly can tell you that Justin Gaethje has not tried to put himself in a position to make it happen. That's just a fact. That's just
agreed.
What he's done. If I was him, yes, I'd be going for the money fight. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. I get what you're saying, because he's not pushing for it, but that kind of makes it even better. Conor's chasing him down. Conor's got to beg a little bit to get the fight. Now he's begging to fight Gaethje.
Right. Yeah, Conor's the one on the outside who wants that belt. Conor wants a belt. He likes collecting belts. He doesn't like defending them, but he likes collecting them.
He's good at collecting them, man. He's good. Let me answer this. AJ and Mike, when are you going to have Bet Openly sponsor the show? I honestly don't know enough about Bet Openly right now. I'll look it up and I'll look into it. I never heard of it, man. I guess I have to dig.
It's like openly gay. You just like bet. Yeah. You just come out of the closet with your bets.
Yes.
You don't keep it to yourself.
No.
What's going on?
That's it.
It's
actually a sports book.
I see.
The name is a little bit confusing, but it's actually an in-person gambling place. No, it's a gambling instructor. I got no idea, man. I never heard of it, brother. I'll have to look into that before I can even give you any opinion.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know, but thank you. Listen, bro, I want to talk real quick. The co-main event. I have to talk about the lock of the week. Poatan Pereira came through with a very close decision. It was damn close. He won the fight, Mike Finch. I'll tell you why I think he won the fight. Because also body language, I think, is a factor with the judges. And Blachowicz looked so fucking dejected in the third round. Now, he was landing better punches in like the first half of that round. And obviously his legs were getting chopped up. Then Pereira did land a couple better combinations that kind of sent Jan back. Jan landed that takedown. I think with the modern judging, that was the worst decision he could have made, is going towards ground. Because I think that the judges were looking for who was going to land more significant damage. I think it was like this. Pereira stole it by this much, and then Jan goes for the wrestling. In this day and age, just taking someone down and controlling them just isn't enough, especially if you're, not very active from top. So that's why I did think Pereira won, but it was damn close. Like I was thinking, okay, this is going to be a competitive decision. And hey, it went split Pereira. I was happy as hell. But damn, bro, Jan, I got to say, I thought on the feet he looked good. Like he's touching Alex Pereira, a kickboxing champion. So I don't think Jan's done. I'll say that.
Yes, no, shout out to my buddy Kevin who picked the over. He decided to bet on that fight going over, going to a decision. And that was a good call because me and him were talking about how defensively sound Jan Blachowicz is, the ability for Jan Blachowicz to land takedowns.
Right.
He spent some time on top, but you're right. He needed to do more damage on top. I think the difference was Jan Blachowicz needed to open up with those elbows more. He sort of let Pereira off the hook in a 5-round fight. Maybe it looks a little different. That's not what they were booked for, so no need to speculate there. Alex Pereira and him had a good one, and I feel like the big thing we got to take away from that is that you can take Alex Pereira down, and Alex Pereira is going to have to figure that out because there are plenty of guys who are going to look to take him down because nobody's going to have that much fun staying with him on the feet for 15 or 25 minutes. He has to develop his takedown defense before you can get like really confident on betting him.
Yeah, I think moving forward, matchup specific. But I'll tell you one guy that is, I think, what's next for him is the most violent man in the game, Jiří Procházka. And I feel like that would be a guy that I could see wanting to trade a bit.
To strike with him.
Pereira. That's the guy. I think that Procházka's style could actually get himself into trouble with Pereira. I know that he has a capable ground game, and obviously he submitted Glover Teixeira, but it's not like he was necessarily winning that fight. Like at the end, he kind of stole the fight with that finish there, and it was a competitive back and forth. I just think that there's potential for a Pereira win over a guy like Procházka. I'm not saying it's the lock. You'll have to see because I'm going to do early prediction reaction video to the Pereira versus Procházka fight tomorrow. So keep your eyes peeled on that, and I'll go into details more. I'm dropping that. But I definitely feel like it's quite an interesting fight.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, I like Igor Ramos here. Hello, guys. Would like to know your thoughts on the Pitbull brothers fights at Rizin versus Bellator? I gotta say, shout out to Patricky Pitbull. Dare I call him my friend? He did a phenomenal job working that calf. Did you see that stoppage that he got? AJ
Nope.
Patricky Pitbull putting it on, man. Congratulations to him. What an awesome finish.
I missed it, bro. I did only saw a highlight of actually I think it was Patricky's highlight. I only saw him. I know that Patricio Pitbull got knocked out taking the fight on short notice. When I heard he was going in on 4 days notice, I was worried about that because he took a pretty convincing loss not long ago after really cutting a ton of weight. I don't know. It just seemed like a bad move. And now he takes an L. It's like, what the hell's going on? But Patricio was that dude. And it's like the downfall is looking quick as hell. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I know he, probably made a good amount of cash for the fight, but at the end of the day, for the resume, 2 losses in a row with PFL now, absorbing Bellator, it just puts him in a weird place where it's like, it's almost like killing the compelling fights. It's like he can fight the champion at this weight. Yeah, he just got knocked out in Japan by, a 10-3 guy who wasn't that well known.
And it's been, the story generally has been the exact opposite for Bellator Rizin. Bellator swept them the first event, and Patricio got a nice win. But you're right, that's a 2-fight skid there for Patricio. He was a serious favorite against Mr. Pettis, Mr. Sergio Pettis. Sergio comes through with it, and now this. he was too patient in the Sergio Pettis fight. And just interesting. Yeah, he's 36 years old. You wouldn't think he's out of his prime, so I expect Patricio Pitbull to bounce back. And he's always been the Bellator GOAT. I mean, so very, very strange to see him have 2 losses back to back. I don't think he's ever had that in his entire career. What is Patricio's record? It's very good. Patricio's 35-7 and never lost 2 fights back to back. So pretty bizarre stuff.
That's crazy, man. What a wild ass weekend. The fights in boxing. Terrence Crawford beat Errol Spence.
Breaks off of Spence. Holy
because
shit.
I think Terrence Crawford is one of the best in boxing, maybe of all time, bro. Like the way he moves is crazy. He's not a big mouth guy, so he doesn't get the same, popularity, but fighting the best guy, as far as a title unification bout could ever really go against Errol Spence, who was undefeated too, and beating him. Like that's incredible. That is what boxing's all about, man, is the best versus the best. And that type of shit, that's just legendary. Now I look at Terrence Crawford and I think about potential contender Boots Ennis, if that can get lined up. But I'm also thinking he goes up a weight class, fights Charlo. But I'll say this. Can you imagine they somehow got Floyd to come out of retirement, 46, says one more go, we fight Terrence Crawford. I'll promise you this is not going to happen. Maybe an exhibition or something. I do think that guy that would give Floyd the biggest problems of the past, 20 years is him. Like, that's the guy. Like, we had to dig back to the 80s. Oh, well, Sugar Ray Leonard could have gave Floyd trouble or potentially beat him. Or, guys like, I don't know, my Hagler's up a weight class, Tommy Hearns, whatever. And then you have a guy now that actually looks like he could be capable of giving him real trouble. So I'd like to see it, man. Obviously, it's not going to happen. It's just unfortunate, timelines. But that would be a crazy fight.
I think Crawford would destroy old man Floyd.
I think he would
good.
too.
Like prime Floyd would struggle with Crawford.
Right.
Old man Floyd? Holy shit. You think he's punching Crawford? Crawford's defense is very he doesn't move huge. He doesn't freak out. It's very small movements, small blocks, keeps moving forward. Beautiful job countering, man. He'll start figuring out where you're at after your first movement. You'll move and then he'll find that second shot. And I think Floyd in his 40s does not want the smoke, AJ. Crawford's the best in the world right now.
Yeah, man. I think that Terrence Crawford is a scary guy, bro. He comes from a wrestling base too.
No.
Yeah, dude. He was a wrestler. So he has boxing
get him
and
in
wrestling.
The UFC. Let's go.
They ain't gonna pay him enough. I think that he's one boxer that could switch to MMA and do well, but he ain't gonna get the bag though. Cause you know how much he made for this fight, bro?
A lot of money.
I think it was like 30 mil. Like he's not gonna take a fight in the UFC for 3. This doesn't make any sense. That's what's crazy. Like if you're at the top of boxing, holy shit. Like that's big money. That's big money every single time, man. It's amazing.
It's extremely lopsided though. Like look at what the guys on the prelims make on these cards, So that's usually the complaint about the UFC. It's actually not the millionaires on the top generally. Although, with Francis, for instance, he was getting $500,000 and everybody was up in arms. It's actually the people on bottom who you hear people only 5,000 to show, only this and that. Look at the boxing cards. I mean, business wise, you're not going to make much money with Joe Schmo fighting Schmo Joe. Yeah. So they get paid pretty accordingly, and that's what makes me respect MMA. If you look at MMA organizations, especially the UFC, let's be honest, guys are making $50K on the prelims, $30K on the prelims. On these boxing cards, they're not. It's like a total, the main event's taking all the cash, and the prelims, they don't care if you're there or not. They'll get somebody else if you don't want to be on their card. So they're very lopsided, and so it's very good to be one of the top, pay-per-view draws in the world in boxing. To be in the middle, not so much.
Yeah, you have to be like a high-level opponent to get paid well. There was a guy back in the day, Alfredo Angulo. He would take fucking fights, and he scrapped with anybody, and he made good fucking money taking these fights, and he had maybe 9 losses by the end of it. I think that the bottom end of boxing, though, pay, like at the lower levels, definitely is more too. I think it's they're paying less because it's like select fights. Like, hey, this is our guy. He's supposed to win. He's fighting this guy's 3-3. This other guy's 6-0. Whereas like with MMA, you're seeing, nowadays though, if you're watching like some of these records of guys coming up, there are people getting their records more so built accordingly, as opposed to like, when the fight game first was, UFC popping on the scene, it's just anybody who fucking shows up. Now though, I feel like earlier on, there's guys, that are like 5-0. They're fighting guys that are debuting or 1-1, 0-1, which is interesting. Man, do you think that's better or worse for the sport of MMA, with guys building their records on the come up more like a boxing model? Let's say somebody that has some money behind them. Maybe,
Right.
they were popular in some type of other combat sport, or maybe they just were a good amateur in MMA and people are investing. Do you think that having a guy that comes in, against, maybe he fought 13 lower tier opponents, then he fights 14, 15, UFC signs him, is that better or worse? What do you think, man?
You think Khabib Nurmagomedov's method is good, AJ? What do you think? Did it work out for him?
Bro. I think it makes sense.
Did it work out
less
for him?
damage.
You
It
like
worked
that
out
career?
so well. I like it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He fought people like with like no cage. It was like open mat. Some of these pro fights, I like how Connor shits on those pro fights because it is kind of like,
That's all,
I
right?
have amateur fights where I got to knee people in the face, kick them in the head, no shin guards, but they're amateur fights. But Khabib's are pro, and yet he had more rules than I had, and he's got no cage. Like, what the fuck? What's the difference here? What's going on? So I definitely like that model, especially for your fighter. Like as I, train people or tell people to take fights, it's like as an amateur, fight anybody. Get out there and compete. But as a pro, when it goes on that pro record, baby that record a little bit. Like bring yourself up, get experience. I think there's really something to be said for how boxing champions have been made historically, because you will see today, like a lot of these matchups are super, super tough. I know you had a lot of trouble picking a Jacoby and I don't even want to mess his name up.
Nzechukwu.
And so it's like, these fights get so close because these guys just come up very similar right away, and they got a couple losses and they get mixed in with the crowd. If you could get somebody 10-0 first, the fighter can actually get better. The fighter actually has room to develop a sort of dominance in certain areas, and then they could use those weapons. The knives are really sharp by the time they get to the top. I like that. Yes.
Yeah. Develop like a confidence too, right? You're 10-0, you're beating these guys. It's like that sword is sharper. But yeah, I don't know. It depends, man. Depends if there's money behind them. So it is what it is with that, but we can talk fucking how to build a prospect all day. Let's get into UFC Nashville. Let's start it off. First fight of the night. There's already going to be some controversy. I know Mike Finch is going to have something to say here because I'm picking Ode Osbourne to beat Almabaev. Okay. I think that I have to ride with a guy who's experienced inside of the UFC versus someone who I can see has wrestling skill and top control, but doesn't seem overly impressive and dominant as far as to now get to this high level. I mean, he's good in those positions, but dig 2 fights back, split decision with Zach Makovsky, who lost a few fights in the UFC. And I think Osbourne on the opposite side, having a length advantage, athleticism edge, and also let me tell you one more thing why I like Osbourne. Who is he in the room with working? Aljamain Sterling, Merab Dvalishvili. He's had Amir Albazi in his corner in the past. He's going rounds with guys who are extraordinary on the ground. Some of those guys up a weight class. And now he's fighting Almabaev, who I think is primarily going to look to chain wrestle. But I just don't have significant faith in how he deals with the scrambly Ode Osbourne. And then when they get into striking, I think that Osbourne is going to land good strikes from distance, man. So I'm going Osbourne for the win, Mike Finch.
I like it. I should probably do the same. I'm super concerned about the takedowns. I'm super concerned about the takedowns in this fight. The takedowns mean everything. I hate to tell you guys ever to live bet something, but like maybe just make sure he could defend a couple shots. Ode Osbourne's a much better striker, and the UFC experience really means something. I always try to learn these lessons. We've been doing this show for a while now, and a lot of times the UFC newcomers have trouble when they fight these vets coming. So, but it's an EV. AJ's supposed to like these V's at the end. I guess it's not an OV. Is that what we're doing here?
No. I've totally stated that there is too much of an influx of people now fighting.
This is one of those.
So I feel that this kid's got potential, but I don't think a debut should be against Ode Osbourne. I feel like Osbourne coming off a win over Charles Johnson, which is honestly, I think, fairly impressive. He's a skilled guy. And you look at his losses. I mean, he got caught in the guillotine by Brian Kelleher. Recent loss, he got dropped and put out by Tyson Nam. He lost to Manel Kape by flying knee. But he's got wins in the mix. Vergara, he beat in a fight where, later in the fight, he did end up on his back, which, could be a relative concern, right? And then recently, he beat, likes of, I know Adeshev isn't that good, but, Osbourne knocked him out pretty impressively. And then last time, like I said, the Charles Johnson win and, showing takedown defense in that fight. That's why I like Osbourne here, man.
Fair enough. I like Osbourne at distance. I don't like Osbourne against the fence. Because Almabaev has good takedowns on the fence. He likes to clasp his hands right under your hips and hoist you up and put you down. He keeps his hands clasped nicely. So just the same way Leon Edwards was fighting the hands of Kamaru Usman on the fence, we need to see Ode Osbourne attack the hands. If he could attack the grips of Almabaev and he can get back at distance, he could dominate this fight. So I'll go Ode Osbourne too, but I ain't betting on it.
Let me tell you the odds for the fight. Osbourne plus 150 as a dog. Almabaev minus 175, the favorite. I think that Osbourne for the win. And if you're going towards the betting side, just money line it. I don't even want to dig into, props here. We have over minus 127. Osbourne has power. He's got fight stopping power. He's got some KO. So give me Ode Osbourne for the win. Decision is where I'm leaning, but KO's possible.
29-28. He's going to get taken down at some point. He's got to get off that fence, but they score damage so much. Hopefully Ode's the guy who's active. He is generally an active striker at range, does some damage in this fight, gets it on the scorecards. I agree. Decision.
Let's go. Next fight on the card. We got Jake Hadley versus Cody Durden in what should be a damn scrap. I feel like Cody Durden has showed me enough to pick him again here. I've picked him a lot, man. I feel like I'm like on the Durden train now with Charles Johnson and then now here with Hadley. His wrestling is solid, but the fact that he is a capable striker is something that I like. Hadley has like an interesting stand-up style. He kind of flares the elbow up, blocking shots. I don't know. It reminds me of like a modified Sean Strickland a little. He's definitely got some speed in his striking, and I would say he has the better hands in this fight here. I do think that Durden is going to have a wrestling edge, and I think that could be a potential factor for the fact that Durden is going to be able to close the gap fairly well, and that I think he's okay in the stand-up here with Jake Hadley. I'm going to go Durden. Hard-fought decision, though. Hard-fought decision. Hadley is going to be game as fuck here.
Yeah, Hadley's a significantly better boxer. And I like that Hadley might get underneath him a little bit. Let's see. 5'7" is Mr. Durden. Why do they got fucking Bruno Silva still on here as an upcoming bout? That's not happening. 5'7", 5'7". Okay, same height then. Cody Durden was just able to beat Charles Johnson. That's a good Muay Thai striker. He's shown that he can beat good strikers by being a mixed martial arts fighter. I think he could do it here too, dude. Hadley's got the nice record. He was undefeated until 15-1 now, but Durden's good. I think Durden's, he's like gatekeeper UFC level. Like you're going to have to be very high level to put Durden out. And I think that's what Hadley would need to do. I think Hadley needs to finish him because he's going to get clinched up. He's going to get kneed. He's going to get taken down in this fight. He would need to put together a Jack Della Maddalena fucking nice combination. And let's say he doesn't do it, dude. I'll go Durden decision too.
Durden decision. Durden for the win is plus 145. The money line is the A side for the first two picks if you're looking to potentially bet some underdogs, because we're both on dogs with the first two. And I like plus 145 Durden to win money line. I'm looking here right now to see if I can find Durden to win by decision prop, because that is a prop that intrigues me for this fight a lot here, man. Let me look, bro. It's like sometimes they don't have it on the like fight odds website that I'll use, so I got to dig into Bet Online.
Dixon says, Finch, Cody Durden been talking too much trash on Twitter. Bad karma. Well, that would make sense if karma made any sense. Come on, folks. How much shit did Conor McGregor talk to Jose Aldo? Where was the bad karma for that fight, folks? Come on now. No, I don't think the karma is gonna get him. If anything, it'll be a left hook or an uppercut. It's skills versus skills in there, not aura versus aura. Right?
Plus 225 for Hadley, plus 250 for Durden by points. Durden by decision, plus 250. He's a dog. Money line's great. I do think he probably wins the decision. Not a terrible little prop there.
Yeah, it's not a bad little I'll keep it in mind. I do have respect for the striking that Hadley has. Hadley needs to get better at wrestling. I'm gonna have to look into how much that boy's been wrestling. Are you wrestling, Hadley? Who did you hire? What coach did you bring in, Hadley? I'm gonna look into it because that's an interesting play.
Agreed. Durden for the win for us both. Next fight on the card, it's Billy Quarantillo versus Damon Jackson. You know, Mike, I'm picking Billy Q to outdog him in this fight here. I recognize that Damon Jackson is a very tough guy who has a pretty capable game overall, has a lot of submission wins, but takes some good punches too. Obviously, got knocked out in his last fight against Dan Ige. On the other side, Quarantillo knocked out by Edson Barboza. So both guys coming off KO losses. I think Billy Q is the faster guy, slightly better with the boxing and hits a bit harder. When you look at the grappling, Billy Q, black belt, BJJ, I got him for the win here, man. I think that he can pull this off in one of those dog scrap back and forth. It's going to be competitive moments, but I think Billy Q's hands will get to the target more frequently, and he'll be able to fend off some Jackson grappling pressure, because I do think when Jackson's getting touched a bit on the feet, he's going to look to mix in some takedowns.
I got Jackson. I'm gonna go third dog in a row. 3 dogs in a row. What the fuck is going on over here, folks? I don't know. Look, I've been fading Quarantillo and I've been making money, bro.
Yeah, you did last time out.
I had Edson Barboza, who was a dog, against Billy Q. What was the other one? Shane Burgos. I'm a little biased. That's my boy. And I think there was one more. Oh, he grappled Clay Guida. That's right. And obviously Clay Guida beat him in that grappling tournament too. So, Clay Guida is a high school wrestler, not a college wrestler, a guy who just trained jiu-jitsu after that. And, is definitely good at jiu-jitsu, but like, if you're losing to him in a grappling tournament, how much is your black belt worth? Damon Jackson's got a lot of submission victories. Damon Jackson's very well-rounded, and I think he should be able to strike with Billy Q. Is Billy Q going to knock him out? I mean, I think Billy Q's vulnerable on the feet as well. You saw Shane Burgos do fine striking with him. You saw Edson Barboza do a lot more than fine striking with him. Right. And I think Damon Jackson's going to see that and be like, okay, I could lay on the gas pedal here. He had a nice streak going before that Dan Ige fight. And say what you want, because Dan Ige's had a string of losses himself. Dan Ige can fucking box, dude. Dan Ige's good. He gets in that deep stance, and he's been rocking fools. He's been getting really, really good with his hands. So I do like Jackson in this fight. He's not too old. He's got a lot of experience, but he's like, 34, 35? He's in his prime still, man. Give me Jackson. It's either a submission or a decision. I guess since Quarantillo's a black belt, you'd have to lean decision, but I feel like club and subs live, buddy.
I like it. Listen, bro, I like you going to the Jackson side because he is a nice dog in this fight here. Jackson's plus 150, Billy Q minus 175. I think it's a dog fight and back and forth warfare. I feel like I say dog fight all the fucking time, but really it means a lot here, in my opinion.
Michael Vick over there, bro. Why you fighting
Michael Vick, bro? We're fighting
leave the dogs alone, AJ. Come on,
it's a side
man.
hustle. You know what I'm saying? It's a side hustle. I think that you're onto something picking Jackson. Like, I don't know, when you said it, I felt like a little ring, like, you know what I'm saying? Now, that's a little superstitious.
There's your karma, Dixon. Here it is. He heard a ring.
Yeah, there it is. It's possible, Mike Finch. I definitely think me on the Quarantillo side is unlikely. He's minus 170 to win. Jackson is a good underdog. Like, at the end of the day, I wrote down for this fight, it's one of those 50-50s. Billy Q, listen, I gotta go Billy Q. Now, he's also from Tampa. You know what I'm saying? That's a little time.
Florida man.
But I'm not saying that's why I'm picking him. I'm not saying that's why. But I think he edges him out by a bit, but not enough so where I'd want to bet on him. So if you're looking at plus on the other side, Damon Jackson, you think he can get to him? You think maybe he can control him? I like that you
so.
brought in the grappling match because that's not something that like my brain really is thinking about. Like, oh, he did a grappling match and lost to Clay Guida last time. I don't know. My brain, I was like, all right, Clay Guida is a good wrestler. He's a strong guy.
Clay Guida is a competent wrestler, but Clay Guida wasn't even the starter at Grant High School. Okay, Johnson. I'm sorry, Johnson. He went to Johnson. He wasn't even the starter. My coach, Coach Nelson, I'm trying to remember his first name, was in Clay's weight class. He didn't even start in high school. He was the runner-up. So there's all these like D1 and Olympic wrestlers in MMA. Clay's just like a super hard-working guy. So it's if you're losing to Clay in a jiu-jitsu tournament, it tells me that you lack a certain high-level talent or a certain, Billy Q wasn't able to pull it out. And Clay's competent again, but like when we talk about these levels and gatekeepers and stuff, if you're gonna want me to bet on you against the Damon Jackson, you better submit Clay Guida. You better submit him. And you said he's from Florida, bro. Clay's my guy. I'm not over here shitting on Clay. Clay is from Illinois. That's my guy. I used to see him at Famous Freddy's over on the Chain of Lakes. Me and Clay go back. Okay. He would come into my high school anyway. I do think Billy Quarantillo is decent, but I do not think he's up to the par of these Edson Barbosas and even these Damon Jacksons.
Yeah, listen, I like it, bro. I like it. We're on opposite sides on this one. Finch on Jackson, the underdog. I'm on Billy Q, the favorite. And the next fight on the card gets very intriguing, right? It's Jeremiah Wells versus Carlston Harris. Because the question I think people are going to be asking themselves is, okay, did Wells get exposed with Semmelsberger giving him trouble last time? Semmelsberger losing on Saturday, right? I have said this. I'm picking Jeremiah Wells here. I am not going to let one performance, which he still was able to win against Semmelsberger, who landed some good shots, write me off of him in a matchup that I think favors him stylistically. Carlston Harris, he's kind of a sloppy-ish puncher. He's slappy with his shots. I say he's got a herky-jerky striking style, man. And then you look at his ground game, definitely does have solid grappling, but doesn't have the offensive wrestling of Wells, doesn't have the physical strength of Wells, and definitely doesn't have the punching power. And, 2 fights ago, Carlston Harris was knocked out by Shavkat Rakhmonov. You dig back, he was knocked out once before outside of the UFC. I think Jeremiah Wells by KO is very live in this fight here. I'm predicting a KO for him. I'm looking back and thinking about when he fought Warley Alves and was dropping bombs on him, knocked out Court McGee in one punch. I'm not going to let one performance against a Matt Semmelsberger, who's a tricky stylistic matchup, maybe, write me off of him. I'm thinking that Jeremiah Wells gets another highlight reel knockout. He's definitely capable.
This matchup is made for Jeremiah Wells. I do think he's able to let his hands go and catch a Harris. I like what you said. There's herky jerky. There's like openings. There's openings for counter punches there. There's an availability there that Wells can go through. And who knows, maybe Wells hits a couple takedowns in this fight. Extremely physically strong. I can imagine him getting a couple on the fence. So let's go Wells bullying his way into this one. Maybe a TKO, brother.
Wells bullying his way in and potentially getting a knockout. Let's see. What is the line for the knockout? Jeremiah Wells. I'll read off Moneyline. It's -145, +125 for Carlston Harris. And then you look at the Wells by KO side. It's +225. I think there's a real chance he gets a knockout. But note something, and this is what I'm going to throw out for some people that are thinking to go all in on knockout prop. Jeremiah Wells has controlled fights before besides, the one that he did against Matt Semmelsberger last time where he won hard-fought decisions. Like, yes, he does have the KO power, but could he end up winning the decision? Absolutely. So the money line, obviously better. Just a little cautionary tale there on the Jeremiah Wells side.
Yeah, good point. No, I think he could potentially wrestle his way into this one too. Yeah. So Jeremiah Wells grinding out a decision wouldn't be bad. Money line might be the play.
Yeah, money line, my opinion, Mike's opinion, the way we should run it. Next fight on the card has me excited because Hani Barcelos takes another fight. He's back and he fights Kyler Phillips, who, in my opinion, is now being slept on a little bit. Now, the odds makers, no, but just in general by the fan base, because I feel like we forget that 3 fights ago, this guy beat Song Yadong. He had a controversial loss to Hadley Paiva. He dropped Paiva 3 times in the first round, had him badly hurt. And that was a clear-cut 10-8. And if it's not a 10-8, then I don't know if a 10-8 can exist, because it doesn't make sense to me. That fight he loses. It was a draw. Yes, he gassed himself looking for a knockout, and then Paiva, tough as nails, was able to come on strong. I think Kyler Phillips definitely has a good stand-up game. MMA lab guy, a lot of savages out of that gym that come in shape. And last time, took on Marcelo Rojo, getting his feet back under him after a disappointing L, wins that fight by sub. And I think here, he's fighting a Barcelos who's coming off of a bad knockout loss, a little bit past maybe his prime years, but still damn dangerous. I think Kyler Phillips recognizes that Barcelos no easy touch, but he's got the speed on him. And I think he could put his punches together well and end up getting a knockout. I think Phillips is going to sleep him, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you 100%. And that'd be back to back too. You know, it's the eggs already got a crack in it, you know. So with Phillips throwing at him, he's got to be confident looking at that last fight, getting slept for Barcelos. Barcelos has a nice style. It looks very clean, looks very beautiful, but he can be tagged. I do think Phillips puts one down the pipe too. I can imagine Phillips finishing this fight, and the odds aren't that crazy. I mean, let me see here. Plus 145 dog money for Barcelos. It's kind of close. And Barcelos, 1-3 in his last 4. Obviously, Victor Henry, Timur Valiev, and Umar Nurmagomedov are good fighters, definitely. But yeah, after getting knocked out in the first round, you're going to have to go Kyler Phillips, who is a great striker. A lot of times does win by KO. That's half of his fights. So I got Phillips KO as well, and I'm confident in it.
I'll tell you this, bro. The odds have expanded. I don't know what book you were looking at. I'm seeing Barcelos plus 180. So the line is shifted. A lot of money's come down on Phillips now, because Phillips is minus 210 as the favorite. So he's become a big favorite in this fight here. And I think because people are seeing the same thing Mike and I are seeing. I'm going with the guy who I think is riding high as a prospect on the come up. Big plus money on the knockout for Phillips, though. It sits at plus 350. Just an interesting note there for that one. But yeah, same side, same pick. Kyler Phillips for the KO. I like him as a prospect, man, and I'm not writing him off. He can take out and beat a Song Yadong 3 fights ago. I definitely think he can beat Barcelos too.
Yeah, let's take him by KO in this one, and the odds are close enough still, even at the one AJ read me. Moneyline still probably the way to go with this one.
Let's go. Next fight on the card brings us to our main card opener. If you guys are enjoying, make sure you smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. We have Ignacio Bahamondes versus Ľudovít Klein. Listen, we're going Ignacio Bahamondes on my side here. And you know what? I'm expecting the same from you, Finch. I remember we were talking. I don't remember the exact name of the person that you had brought up. It had said, you know, was hyping up Bahamondes as a prospect.
Pat Curran.
Pat Curran. Yeah, that's the one. And he was hyping up Bahamondes. And it's, you know, a skill set that he has at 25 is pretty impressive, man. He's a long guy. Nasty kicker. He's creative with his stand-up. Fought a veteran in Trey Ogden last time and won, you know, a clean decision. He fights Klein here, who, you know what, is also coming into his prime at only 28. I think Ľudovít Klein is kind of one of those guys that's like a tweener between 45 and 55. He's a little small for 155, but he has the explosiveness and power that I think in certain matchups he can do well. But dude, he's 5'7" to 6'3". That's a vast difference in the length. And when I see Bahamondes, who has, you know, I don't want to say primary, but definitely his first option is normally chopping people up with kicks. I think that Bahamondes from distance is going to find shots. I think Klein's toughness, though, can keep him in it. He takes a solid shot. I'm kind of leaning Bahamondes to win another decision here.
Or head kick knockout. Bahamondes is very talented at setting up those kicks, and he can kick at all levels, from the calf all the way up to the head. Bahamondes is an absolute tower for the weight class, standing at 6'3". It's going to be very difficult for Klein. I do have a lot of respect for Klein. I think Ľudovít Klein is one of the better guys in the weight class, but it's been a nice little streak here ever since that John McDessie split decision loss for Bahamondes. He's looked really good. You're right, only 25 years old. Going against Mr. Highlight, I do think he gets it done, man. You know, we saw Nate the Train beat him. Michael Trezano beat him. This is back in 2021. He bounced back with 2 decision wins, but it's going to be hard to strike with Ignacio Bahamondes. He might need to take him down Of course, he went to that draw with Jai Herbert, who's a good striker, and he looked good in that fight. So that's why you can imagine decision, right? But Ignacio Bahamondes, I like a lot. And yeah, to bounce off what you were saying, Pat Curran was training over at Valley Flow Striking, and he told me, because I always ask, I ask my friends when they train at these super gyms, I'm like, hey, who's the next guy coming up? And he's like, for sure, there's this one guy. I'll get you his name. Of course, it ends up being Ignacio Bahamondes. He's like, man, this kid is really good. This was years ago. So, now we're just seeing the tree bear fruit now, right? So Ignacio Bahamondes at 6'3" puts on a striking clinic here, 30-27 scorecards, or he sets up some big kicks.
I'll tell you this, the money line odd is -210, so it's not a great tag, but a likely one. And then Bahamondes to win by KO sits at +300, so that's quite interesting, man. I think he's live for the KO. I'm picking Bahamondes to win with you, man, and I think that he outstrikes a tough Ľudovít Klein. But I'll say this, I do have some respect for Klein's game. He's not an easy guy to deal with, but he's been outstruck before by taller strikers. He's got power, but I just think it's going to have, a long path to close the gap. And that's not going to be easy to do with Bahamondes, who's educated from the outside.
Exactly. Yes. He knows how to put straights down the pipe and then looping kicks. He has that dynamic where it's straight punches. And then when you start moving your head and getting away from those straight punches, then it's the body kick, then it's the leg kick, then it's the high kick. So I do think that recipe will work well against Klein, who, is going to have to do something, make him bite on something to close that distance. And Klein should be looking to grapple here. I think Klein should be looking to be an MMA fighter in this fight. That's how he keeps it competitive. He's going to want to get something off on Bahamondes because you're not going to do it in the green zone at range.
Right. No, I think you're right. It's going to be very difficult for him. And we got Bahamondes getting it done as we head in to the next fight on the card. Tanner Boser versus Aleksa Camur. I'm picking Tanner Boser to win this fight, Mike Finch. Camur's been out for over 2 years. He had surgery on his left elbow, and he's taken on Boser, who's coming down from heavyweight. Obviously had a failed debut first time out against Cutelaba, but he didn't give up on the light heavyweight experiment. Boser's a guy that has wins up a weight class at heavyweight, and even in his losses, he has good performances. Like Cutelaba was able to get to him and blitz him, but it doesn't tell me that Boser's chin is gone or there's nothing left. I think here against lesser experienced 6'2" Camur, who I think is overly willing to scrap inside and just engage, man. He's sitting there squared off and shots are coming through, and obviously he's young, so he can take those punches, but you want to be avoiding those shots because there's guys that can put your lights out. Negumerianu, who he was taking bombs from last time and he lost that decision 2 years ago, definitely has some decent striking, right? But I'm not going to say he's crazy with the power. I'd say Boser is better with his straight shots, and I think the straight ones could be the ones that put Camur on his ass, man. I'm going to go Boser to knock him out. Could it go long? The young Camur, in shape, tough dude, he definitely could end up absorbing punches, and Boser's known to take decisions as well. But I am going to pick KO for now.
I like it. Yeah, I think Boser's overhand right is live in this one too. Boser could hurt people with that big ass right hand he throws with a loop on it too. And I could imagine it landing here. Look, Camur is jacked. I mean, he looks the part, but when he gets a hold of people, he doesn't ground and pound very well. Like, he was accepting clinches without strikes way too much in a few of his fights. I believe it was William Knight. Am I right? Yeah, William Knight, where he was first off just accepting bottom position too much, not enough of a sense of urgency when he was underneath the giant strong man that is William Knight. And when he did get to the top position, you'd think, oh, here we go. Now he's going to try to really throw some bombs. No. He's not the type of guy to do a lot of damage on the ground. And so I like Boser's chances more because I think Boser will punch him in the face if he gets to the top position. And even if he doesn't, you're right. Camur, not exactly the best head movement we've seen, not very defensively sound. So Tanner Boser, used to that, heavyweight type consequences, I don't think he'll see too much. He'll be shocked by too much from an Aleksa Camur. So I'm with you all day. Give me Boser. Does he finish him? Maybe not. Maybe it goes to a decision, but Boser TKO is live.
Boser TKO is quite live. I agree. I like Boser to win. -155 is honestly not a bad tag against Camur at plus 135, who I wasn't overly impressed with. I'll tell you this, Mike, because of that elbow injury too, and that obviously causing for a bit of, a break from training and whatnot, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I have an active Boser versus a Camur who's been out a while, recovering from injuries, pulling out of fights. How much better has he gotten? I'm assuming a bit. But is it going to be that level-changing difference, which I think he'd need here against a veteran like Boser? So I'm going to say no. We're both going to go Boser for the win. Close money as far as the line for him at minus 155. Boser by KO is plus 250. Moneyline is good, though. It's a fight. It's a fight for sure. I think he's, value-wise is not horrible for an experienced guy. It's just, they see he's 1-4 in his last 5. But 6-2 is inexperienced. And I've known about Boser since before the UFC. He's been fighting forever at this point.
And he's been active. I mean, you brought it up right off the bat that Camur had that surgery. He hasn't fought in years, and now he's going to step in there against a guy who's been active, who's fought this year. That's another reason why Boser is going to look good in this fight.
Yeah, let's go. Tanner Boser for the win. Next fight on the card, it's Gavin Tucker versus Diego Lopes. Gavin Tucker is a guy, 37, out for over 2 years, taking on Lopes, who just recently fought Movsar Evloev and came out like a fucking bat out of hell and brought hell to Movsar in that fight. It's like, to me, I got to go Lopes, but Gavin Tucker at one point was a pretty quality prospect to keep an eye on, controlled, Billy Q a bit on the ground. But now, obviously, Mike Finch, you've dropped the Billy Q grappling bar by about 10 points. If we're doing like a EA UFC rating system,
right.
If he was an 87, you got him, I'll do 8 points. We'll put him at 79 right now. It's not as good maybe as anticipated.
Those UFC, those UFC lines for the, the skills, those have never been on point, bro.
No,
I've never seen a UFC game where I'm like, they did it perfect.
Yeah.
I've always been like, Brock Lesnar's jiu-jitsu is what? God, they gave him what? So they've always messed those up a little bit.
That's funny, man. I'm going to say this, Mike. I think that Lopes comes out fast. We had it with Chiesa last week, and I took that one on the chin. I thought he'd be able to grapple with Holland. No. Lopes is a grappling coach. Tucker, strong guy, but definitely slower on the feet. Lopes, dangerous on the ground. Tucker, not this dominating, absolute savage top control, which I see him just smothering a Lopes and pounding him out. I got to go Lopes to stop him. I'm thinking in the first round, 9-year age difference too, 28 to 37, layoff for Tucker. I think Diego Lopes comes out fast and gets the finish. How does he get it done, Mike Finch? If you heard the other show, then you already know. But I'll say it again. I'm thinking it might be club and sub, bro.
Club and sub, the classic AJ call. And you know what? It's going to have to be, because Diego Lopes has never heard of wrestling. Diego Lopes is a striker, jiu-jitsu player, and Gavin Tucker is going to wrestle fuck him into the mattress. I think Gavin Tucker is going to control where this fight takes place. He'll have to defend submissions from the top position, but as long as he's ground and pounding, I'm going to give it to Gavin Tucker. And I know you guys hate that. And I know you guys are going to say that Diego Lopes looks so good in his losing effort, that short notice where he took on Evloev. And he did, and he's definitely good. He's good at striking, and he's good at jiu-jitsu. But when you get controlled like that, and I see Gavin Tucker throwing guys around. I mean, Gavin Tucker's very physically strong. When he gets his hands under your legs, he's hoisting you up. He's body locking you. He's throwing you on the ground. I think just getting the half guard and elbowing him a few times should be enough for a 29-28. I know you guys hate it, but give me Gavin Tucker decision.
Mike Finch, are you concerned about the layoff?
Yeah, fuck yeah. Oh, I'm concerned about him getting knocked the fuck out, dude.
Yeah. He's a dog. He is plus 130 being Gavin Tucker, with Lopes at minus 150 as the favorite. If you like Lopes by sub, is plus 400. If you like Tucker by decision, plus 250. Yeah, Lopes to win in the first round is actually only plus 275. So it seems like that's a common tag being attacked, because I think the people are thinking he starts fast and Tucker not able to keep up. We'll see, man. I'm excited for this fight.
Mike Finch, the new Bruce Buffer, he's saying that maybe, I'm just guessing because I announced all those fights over the weekend. We had Fight a Coach Day at UFC Gym Huntington Beach. So I did dust off the pipes. I'm actually a little little hoarse today from all that screaming on Saturday. So Bruce, I feel your pain, buddy. I see how hard you're working. I don't know if the folks know, but you actually do have to put that effort in to make it fun for everybody. So I appreciate you recognizing that. Thank you. I don't know if I'm the new Bruce Buffer, but I am the first Mike Finch.
I like it, Mike. I like it. Classic, man. Keep it classy. You know what I'm saying? Dude, Lopes, I think is going to pull it off. I look forward to talking about this one next week after it happens. I'm curious how it goes down. We're on opposite sides on this one here. We got the fist up Finch style.
That's all right.
Let's get to Mike Finch. I'm going to go with the old Sullivan, bro. We keep it 1800 shit.
This way. It's like the Notre Dame logo.
Yeah, mascot. The Fighting Irish. Yeah.
No, I actually prefer this. I watch George St. Pierre strike, and he keeps the hands a little open to catch, you know. I don't like that Kimbo slice style where Kimbo would fight people and you just have the knuckles tight. Mike Perry was saying, this is how you got to fight in bare knuckle. I actually prefer this. I like this. Move the hands and then, boom, make a fist as you punch. I like this. Open hands. So you could come at me like this. I'm catching your shit, bro.
Dude, that's why Mike Perry, though, said with bare knuckle, he thinks it's different. Like, you got to be able to move with them tight. Because he's saying, like, what happens sometimes if you don't close it at the right point or something, will fucking fuck your shit up. I don't know, man. Mike Perry's the bare knuckle guy now.
He definitely has more bare knuckle fights than me. Yeah, I've got 2. 1 in middle school. 3. I don't want to get in street fights, folks. This is not good. Okay, how many people are going to ask me about my sunglasses? Do you guys really want? You'll get them for the lock and parlay section. Stay tuned.
Good, Finch. Let's go. Let's keep running up. Let's get to the featured bout of the night. Dustin Jacoby versus Kennedy Nzechukwu. Bro, that last name getting to me, and I practice it. Holy shit. Kennedy Nzechukwu. I'm picking Jacoby to beat him, Mike Finch, because I'm not sold on the 3-fight win streak for Nzechukwu. Yes, beating Quarantillo was impressive, different style. Yes, beating Devin Clark, impressive, different style. But I look here with Jacoby, and I got a poised striker who at one point was on a beautiful streak and like looked like he was really coming into his own as a contender. Loses a controversial decision to Khalil Roundtree. Mike, I picked Roundtree, and I think you did too, and we were right on the pick. But going back and rewatching that fight, it looked like Jacoby did enough to get the win. So then he fights Azmat Murzakhanov, off the top of my head, I can't remember. But Azmat, he loses that fight by a decision. Now he's fighting Nzechukwu. I think there are openings for Jacoby on the feet. Now, could Nzechukwu try to body him and use his, overwhelming size and pressure to win? And could he be effective? Sure. But I do think Jacoby's live to catch him with straight punches, and we've seen Nzechukwu hurt even in his wins.
You make a good case, bro. Are you trying to fucking convince me? I'm going Africa. Give me Nzechukwu. Sure. I do believe Nzechukwu a good striker. I like the streak, dude. Jacoby losing his last 2 via the scorecards, and then Nzechukwu exact opposite, winning his last 3 by finish. By the way, on that's Ian Cutelaba and Devin Clark, who, I got respect for those guys. So I do think Dustin Jacoby becomes another victim. Now, is he going to finish Jacoby? That'll be tough. Like, it is pretty hard to finish Jacoby. He has been submitted and knocked out before, but 6 of those losses for him were on the scorecards. He's up against a real fucking finisher, bro. This kid likes to finish people with his hands, his elbows. He does ground and pound. He'll get vicious. He can end up in bad spots too, but when he's in good spots, he knows how to close the show. So give me a TKO, brother. We're on the opposite side again, brother. We're going to war, AJ.
I respect it on this one, honestly, man. Because I was sitting on this one for a bit too. Because Nzechukwu is a fucking big force to be reckoned with type of guy. So I look at Jacoby though on the other side, and I do see the more technical kickboxing. Could he land the shots through the guard? I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna go against the grain here. I'm not sold on Nzechukwu yet, I guess. I feel like I say that every time, and then he fights and he wins.
And then he wins?
But I'm not sold yet because I've always felt like Jacoby decent enough stylistically maybe to deal with an Nzechukwu. I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going Jacoby plus 120 for that Jacoby side with Nzechukwu as the minus 140 favorite. Looking towards prop betting this one here. Mike, you like TKO for Nzechukwu plus 250, TKO for Jacoby. What would that sit at? Plus 385. I'm not loving it. If you're going Jacoby, you're probably just going dog-sided. It's a scary fight with Nzechukwu. I mean, he's fighting a big African savage. I mean, that's his damn nickname, and it's true. 6'5" monster. Yeah, this is a scary fight, but Jacoby could do it. I'm gonna pick him. I'm gonna go with him, dude.
He's gonna get stuck on the outside a little bit, and there's just Nzechukwu's a dangerous guy, man. He's gonna be in there with a guy who could put him away. So it'll be fun to see how Jacoby deals with it. Jacoby's a vet. It'll be a fun fight. They'll hit each other. It'll be a fun fight. I think Jacoby should try to, strategically, wear on him in the first round a little bit, get him a little slower, because Nzechukwu, especially when he's just relaxed standing in the middle of that cage, is fast too, so you want to get a little blood in those shoulders. I'd like to see Jacoby rest a little bit in the first round. That would be an interesting start to this fight. Jacoby gets out there, tries to drag him on the ground a little bit, then maybe he can open up a little more, because as you throw a kick, Nzechukwu will come straight down the pipe with punches and potentially put you out.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. He could do it. Jacoby's durability has been good, has been solid in MMA. I'm excited to see it, bro. I'm excited for it. Let's get to the co-main. It is between the ladies, Tatiana Suarez and Jéssica Andrade. I think me and you will probably agree completely on this one. We got Suarez by submission, right? Is that the A side? What are you thinking?
Tatiana fucking Suarez. Are you talking about the woman who came on our show just, what was that, a month ago?
Hey, that's not the reason I'm picking it, though. I don't want to. I do think she's got the skills.
How cool of her to take some time out of her day to come on Moneyline, folks. So that's why we're picking her. We're 100% biased. And on top of that bias, you're right. She's extremely skilled. So what do you think about the striking, though, AJ? What if Jéssica Andrade starts popping off with some shots? What if Tatiana Suarez misses a double leg? Are you concerned about the striking from Jéssica Andrade?
I mean, there's always a concern in getting punched in the face with a heavy shot by a girl like Andrade. But on the flip side, I think that Suarez can get to her, close the gap. And even if it's not landing a takedown, it's controlling and wearing on her in the clinch. Also, the fact that Jéssica Andrade, to me, doesn't seem the same anymore. It's like she's lost a step of, I don't know if it's motivation, desire. She's just taking it for the money. And now you're fighting Suarez, who was the boogie woman for so long. I got to go Suarez for the win, man. I think she's going to get her on the ground and sub her. I think maybe arm triangle.
But could Andrade have her Derek Lewis moment where she bounces back? Because it's a very similar thing. It's a mental thing I saw with Jéssica Andrade when she was underneath your favorite Blanche Fieldov.
Yeah.
And, when she was underneath Blanche Fieldov, she actually seemed to have a mental lapse there. She seemed to break to me. And if you do that underneath Tatiana Suarez, I mean, it's like Tatiana Suarez is built to do that to people. Right. Not only is she way taller, not only is she a better wrestler, but the way she fights, I mean, she is in there to break these girls, and her strangles are going to be better than ever. She trains at, you would assume the best 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu is headquarters here in LA. I got news for you guys. That fucking 10th Planet in Las Vegas they got going on is full of killers. I mean, you could go up and down the list of guys and girls there. They are very high level, and obviously she's living with Patchy Mix. Patchy Mix has the best guillotines I have ever seen in the sport of mixed martial arts. You gotta think that her guillotine's only getting better. Her strangles are only getting better. So I think Tatiana Suarez gets to top position, finishes this fight in the first round. Tatiana Suarez, most confident pick on the card.
I think Tatiana Suarez got it, man. Yeah, I'm with you. And no bias, bro. If I thought she was going to lose, I would have picked against her. But I think that she's got it. And I feel like Andrade, she's also fighting somebody that's never tasted a loss before in Suarez, whereas Andrade broke maybe recently. Suarez never even lost. She doesn't even know what that's like in MMA now. I got Suarez 10-0, and I think that she's a scary threat to any female champion. Even if you look up at 125, she has a win over who? Aleksa Grasso. She beat her by submission years ago. So
You know?
she's still right in the mix, man. Looking at the odds, though, she's a big favorite for good reason. I see her here right now at -350. Andrade +275 is the dog. Suarez to win by submission, it is +120. Do expect that to happen. Suarez in the first round, only +200. I like Suarez to win. Yeah, she's a big favorite. Could be a parlay piece. Could be a sub prop. Should be a win.
I got her all day, dude. I think she's going to dominate this fight. Why stand up there and bang it out with Jéssica Andrade, you know? Get a hold of her. You know, the way Jéssica Andrade was able to pick up Rose Namajunas and slammed her on her head, I think you're going to see that type of a mismatch when she gets a hold of Jéssica Andrade. Jéssica Andrade is going down. The wrestling of Tatiana Suarez is so good. Look at her training partners, dude. This is the beginning, you know? Hop on the Suarez train because it is a rolling.
It is a rolling. In 100% agreement, Mike Finch. Let's get to the main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes. And if you're new, subscribe. We have Cory Sandhagen versus Rob Font. Mike, I have to pick Cory Sandhagen to win this fight, though. Rob Font is a very good boxer. He's got calculated striking. He's in good shape. He can go the 5 rounds, notoriously pretty durable. I would say he's the better pure boxer of the two, but the difference lies upon the fact that Sandhagen has a wide array of tools that he can use in the stand-up and evolving, adding in some grappling. I expect a high output and pace, and I think 5 rounds of Sandhagen and Font striking, Sandhagen's outmatching him. He's going to win this fight. I'm going Sandhagen for the W.
Yeah, Sandhagen for the W because he's an MMA fighter now, too. I loved seeing all that wrestling from him against Chito Vera. I do think he realized, shit, I should spend more time on top of guys, you know? So now that he's going to have that idea, okay, I'm going to wrestle in this fight, too. Now the movement and the striking will just open up even more because he has another threat. You know, Cory Sandhagen fought so many of the top guys to these super close fights, and one of the reasons is because he was hesitant to take people down. Hopefully he's past that. Hopefully he's changed gears and he's able to take these guys down. You know, Chito Vera, known as a jiu-jitsu guy previously before he got really good at striking with Jason Perillo, man, I feel like, you know, he really dominated Chito on the ground. I actually went to jiu-jitsu practice in the morning at AOJ. I looked to my left. It's Chito Vera standing next to me, bro. He came over to Art of Jiu-Jitsu and started training jiu-jitsu with us. So, you know, that's what Sandhagen did to him. I mean, all due respect to Chito. Hopefully he doesn't punch me the next time he sees me. You know, I think that he, you know, he put Chito in jiu-jitsu class, dude, you know, so you want to see Sandhagen mix it up. If he mixes it up in this fight, he could dominate this fight, brother. It really goes with his style, too. I mean, look at how Dominic Cruz uses the side-to-side movement. You start planting your feet to throw big. Boom, he hits a takedown. Boom, he hits a takedown. Now you're moving your feet with him, and he can just tag you up with little light shots with nothing on him. So Sandhagen should really be able to start picking up this fight and dominating it as it goes on if he's adding in takedowns. Cory Sandhagen all day.
Cory Sandhagen all day. The pick for both of us here, as far as the odds, he's a -310 favorite with Font as a big underdog, +260 on the opposite side. I do think Sandhagen gets it on the cards. That sits at +150. The only over available is an over 4.5 at the moment, and that sits at -140. Dangerous fight. I think Sandhagen wins. He's a wide money line attack, but ultimately not a bad guy to look at for a parlay. And we'll be talking about the parlay and lock section in just a moment. Finchman, any final notes on this main event before we jump to it?
Well, I do think that this will be a finish for Cory Sandhagen, and I think he could do it late, and I think he could do it on the ground, dude. I'm hoping Cory Sandhagen does some shit from mount or the back, and if he can do that, that'll be the statement he needs. He's got 25 minutes to finish Rob Font. I'm hoping he does it. I know a lot of people are going to pick decision. I'm going to want to see a finish from Mr. Sandhagen. And can I put something on? People are saying in the chat that you need to do a bare knuckle fight with Jake Paul and that I need to fight CM Punk. I just want to say thank you for giving me the easier fight.
Where?
Thank you for that. And if anybody actually thinks CM Punk holds a candle, y'all got no fucking idea what would be hitting CM Punk. I tried to hit up the UFC to make this fight. See, Armando knows that. That's why he's bringing this shit up. That's why he's stirring the pot. And Armando,
look at the guy we got over here, Ricky Chow, throwing some cash at us. Let me bring my dude up. Ricky Chow. He's a gem. You got a legendary name, man, because when I think of Chow, I think of Hangover, And Ricky Chow, it's a great flow. Love the show. Thank you, bro. Consider doing futures fight predictions to get an early jump on the early lines. My guy, we appreciate that tip. We appreciate the capital, and we appreciate everybody watching. And yeah, we're picking Mike Finch over CM Punk. Hopefully they give us a call soon. We'll see what happens, man. Maybe CFFC is looking for more of an influencer type fight. They do 3 rounds, 3 minutes even. You can go, give CM Punk the shin guards and make it happen, bro.
Me and CM Punk could boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, MMA. You choose. I'm fucking CM Punk up, folks. Don't even try me. Don't even try me on that shit.
He's begging you to answer him, bro.
Let's go. Although I want to say to Mr. Ricky Chow, we really appreciate that 20. And about the futures thing, I'm down. Like, let me know. I'm down. What do you want to know? Nate Diaz and fucking Jake Paul. I saw you guys asking. Ask the question, and when you guys do the dono, I'll try to answer it. Thank you. How do I feel about same game parlay adding Sandhagen Moneyline +1 plus knockdowns to get it closer to even money? Before the Yanez fight, Fon had been knocked down a ton. It could happen multiple times. I think you should just tune in for this fucking parlay because I've got 3 in a row, and I'm thinking we just do it nice and easy, 2-fight parlay, and we collect money, Dixon. That's what I'm thinking.
Let's do it. Let's get to the lock section, and then we're jumping to parlays right after. Let's go. UFC Nashville lock of the week. Mike Finch, I hand you the floor. Who is the lock for you this week, brother?
Listen, folks, I got to go with my Illinois boy, and I got a lot of respect for Mr. Ľudovít Klein, but putting me back on in the lock section is my guy, Ignacio mother effing Bahamondes. If you don't know, now you know. Ignacio Bahamondes striking is nasty. 6'3" is going to be a big, tall problem for Mr. Klein. Give me him throwing straight shots down the pipe, coming around with those kicks, possibly a nice little head kick KO for you guys. But personally, I'm going to look at money lining it.
I'll be honest, Mike, I'm a little bit surprised. I thought you might have been going with Damon Jackson.
Damon Jackson, I almost did. Yeah. Look, dude, I've been murking. Like I said, I've been murking these parlays. I'm going with a one that I feel like I'm gonna swish right through the net. Okay, I'm not going off the backboard or nothing. I'm putting one right up. But Damon Jackson is live. He is
good. Listen, I think it's good that you're doing that. I'm going against the grain for my lock this week. I'm going UFC experience. Mr. OV and EV is fading that side. I'm going Ode Osbourne, underdog lock. He's going to take out Almabaev, and he's going to win this fight with an evolved game on the ground where he can scramble, stop takedowns, and strike, and he's going to get it on the judges' scorecards. Maybe even put the punches together and get a knockout. I'm going Ode Osbourne. I'm going underdog. I don't want to fucking jump on Mike's lock. I like Ignacio too. He's a confident pick for me. I think he definitely could get it done, but we're going Ode Osbourne, man. I've been feeling it all week. I write the lockdown before the show. Don't think that I'm not sitting thinking, damn, man, Mike, you're selling me this without it. No, I'm sticking with my guns. I'm sticking with it, locked and loaded. Give me Ode Osbourne. Plus money sitting at plus 150. Underdog Ode Osbourne. Let's ride the dog streak. That'll be 4 UFC dogs in a row. Ride the streak, bro. I'm going with Osbourne. Yeah.
Dog money for AJ, folks. If you're looking for it, you got it. I agree with the pick.
Let's go. My guy. Fucking bringing the fire right now. The Czar, thank you for the $2.99 super sticker, my guy. I see you in the chat. I appreciate an OG like you stopping by. And that will lead us into the parlay.
All the competition that try to compete, stand back, watch the bomb drop.
Parlay time. Mike Finch, you're on a nice win streak. Let's keep it up, Mike. Let's keep it up. Let's go. What are you feeling this week, Finch, man? Let me know with the shades on. Slim Shady.
I have seen you guys say it in the chat, all right? So it ain't the most original parlay of all time, but it's a fucking confident one. It's not my first in a row. It's not my second. It's not my third. We're going for the motherfucking 4-peat parlay. You want to see the streak keep going? Give me in the co-main event, Tatiana Suarez beating some fucking ass, representing for Las Vegas, Nevada. She gonna put that body in the desert. And then in the main event, give me Cory Sandhagen and Tatiana Suarez. Parlay it up, and you're walking home with it. I am very confident in those two picks, co-main and main event. And they're going to put it down. The bookies know it, and that's why in order to get some respectable odds, you're going to have to parlay them together.
All right, so you're sitting around minus 140, rocking with those two, which I think makes a lot of sense, Mike Finch. It is not this big, elaborate plus money, but it's about hitting, right? And it's close enough money where I think it's definitely a live touch. I like that call a lot, Finch, man. I, though, feel like I'm going to mix it up just a little bit for you, my friend, okay? I'm going to put Ignacio. That's Mike Finch's lock, who I think is very live to win this fight here. I'm going to go Sandhagen on the slate. Right now we got even. Sandhagen, Ignacio sitting at minus 100. I think I'm going to ride with those two to play it on the safer side here. Give like a safety play since I went with the dog-sided. I do think Ignacio wins the fight, as does Mike Finch, and I feel like he's live as hell here. Now, I want to add a little steam real quick, though, because if I wanted to go steamy, I could also add in Jeremiah Wells and Tatiana Suarez. It's like plus 330. But now, you know, you're chasing, bro. You're chasing big numbers. If you're really trying to hit with big plus money, on a lot of times, to me, it's better to throw dog money in there, you know? So maybe you're going.
We picked a bunch of dogs on this card. I mean, look at how many dogs we picked. And then when it got to the lock parlay section, I was more conservative than you, AJ. Yeah, it's all about hitting, folks. You might as well get your money. I think Tatiana Suarez and Cory Sandhagen are going to get you your money.
Yeah, let's go, bro. I think Ode Osbourne's going to impress, man. I really like him as a lock. I'm riding high off 2 locks in a row, so you guys know I'm feeling good. Wood came through, Pereira comes through, and now I got Ode Osbourne to win. Big plus money against the guy who I think has a good wrestling base. But, bro, I just don't feel Ode Osbourne should be a big dog. Maybe an even money fight, but against a debuting guy who hasn't been with the same level of comp. Sure, he trains with Shavkat Rakhmonov, and I bet there's skilled guys there. But I got known killers working with Ode Osbourne. I got some of the best upper weight class at bantamweight that he's working with doing rounds all the time. So I love it. I love it.
I love it, dude. 100%. And what a good way to cap off this card, because now the co-main and the main you guys are going to have in these parlays. So now you can sweat with us.
Let's go, Mike. Pleasure as always to chop it up about the fights. We have fun with the recap, and now we got big action coming this weekend. And I'll just get a pick from you. I don't need anything crazy. You think Jake Paul or Nate Diaz?
Oh my God, is that this weekend?
That's this weekend.
That is this fucking weekend.
That's
wow.
this fucking weekend, brother.
Boycott it, first of all. Okay, we're not selling this fight. You know what the fuck is going on here? Jake Paul is a light heavyweight, and he's fighting a guy who, you know, could easily his whole career make 155 pounds. This is absolutely obscene. This fight should not happen, and you guys should not support it. With that being said, Jake Paul all day. I mean, Nate Diaz would have competitive fights with, you know, Bellator, PFL, average like level fighters. Like his style is not one where he goes out there and just dominates you from bell to buzzer, especially anymore, right? He looked good against Takanori Gomi. He looked good back in the day. But, you know, his style generally is one of being very passive and bleeding and then trying to come back now. And I don't think that's a good way to go with Jakey Paul. Jake Paul is going to try to put his hips behind his shots and try to get Nate out of there. Unfortunately, dude, I mean, of course he does it.
Listen, bro, I like your call. I kind of want to make a video for it. I think I want to break it down in detail and drop it on the channel, because right now I feel like I'm not going to be able to elaborate my point well without having like a little more substantial backing in it. But I'll say this, I like it that it's 10 rounds. I like that we got a dog fight coming, and I'll talk about this fight this week. I'll drop something, man. I'll make a video, and I'll break it down. But Mike Finch, I totally see the Paul argument side. I definitely think that youth being a factor, Diaz being naturally smaller. Just the ultimate question will be, how does Paul feel in 7, 8, 9, and 10? You know, something new for him, because that's a long fucking fight, man.
It is a long fight. Yeah, agreed. I mean, that's the only saving grace, right? If Nate survives to those rounds, what could he do? Maybe Nate wins the last 2 rounds. I mean, I feel like the size difference is just too big here, dude. It's not a good thing, you know?
Yeah.
For Nate Diaz, if it was 16 rounds, maybe then we're talking, right?
Oh.
I think in 10 rounds, Jake could dominate 8 of those. And even in the rounds Jake takes off, like, is Nate going to be teeing off on him? Nate throws slaps. And now you're going to give me boxing gloves too? You know, Nate slapping people in MMA gloves is different. And I don't mean literal slaps. Like, his shots, even when he closes his fist, he doesn't always put his hips behind, right? Sometimes he does put his hips behind a right hand. Remember him knocking out Gray Maynard? But boom, he turned his shoulder and his hip over. Nate
he rocked Leon Edwards too.
He did rock Leon Edwards. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But he ain't the size of Jake, dude. This is a setup. This is a fake fight. You know, this is a light heavyweight fight and a lightweight. Fuck that.
Let's go. Mike Finch, hot take. I love it. It's been a pleasure chatting it up, brother. People, we hope you enjoyed. Smash the likes. If you're new, subscribe. Check out Finchman's channel. It's linked up in the description below.
Thank you, brother. I just did a bunch of like exhibition MMA fights. I'll post them all today.
Post them up.
Post
them up. Finchman, much love, brother. It's a pleasure. Love chatting the fights with my boy, and we love the people showing us the love. We'll see you next time. Peace, everybody.